Okay, work together 9-3. If we look at work together 9-3, it is a cash payments journal, which is what we did yesterday. So the only thing that goes in a cash payments journal is when we write out a check. There would be the one time a month when the money that is going out is going to be something not a check, and that would be when we have a service charge and the bank automatically takes money out of our account. So what we're looking at in 9-3 today, it'll take a little bit longer time, is we're going to be going through and what happens if we fill up one page of our cash payments journal within a month and we need to carry totals forward. And we have some other things that happen in business that aren't as clear-cut as we covered in the first unit, change being off and those type of things that we have to account for in our cash payments journal. So the first thing we're going to take a look at here is they have open spots here just to trick you up to see if you're going to randomly put things here. Don't. Does that make sense? So like line 23 right here in the journal, it says you could put something in these spots. Don't. It's already done. You don't need to do anything with it. When we look at our directions, our first set of directions says rule page 5 of the cash payments journal using March 27th of the current year. All right, well, let's do that. The first thing you have to do is put the date of the 27th. Now, what goes in my account title? Carried or brought? It is carried forward. Okay, and if you put carried forward in our account title, you're going to put a check mark in our post reference. And wasn't it nice of them? They did the math for us already. That was pretty nice, accounting book. Thank you. Now, we have to go to the top of page 6 now. So we have to put in the month of March, date of the 27th, account title we're going to write brought forward, put a V in the post reference to indicate that we don't have to post it, and then you're going to put in the numbers from the bottom of the first page. And there is change on every single one of those, so you need to make sure that you do your point and then put in your 2-number decimal. Now, please watch to make sure that you enter in the number correctly. Like, for example, my general credit column, it's really easy at the top of page 6 to enter it in as 485 instead of 458. That would be called a transposition error, meaning you have the right numbers, but they're in the wrong order. Transposition errors can always be determined by the amount that you're off when your debits and credits don't equal or divisible by 9. So that is instruction number 1, rule page 5, and then instruction number 2, begin page 6 of a cash payments journal. Now, when we take a look at our instruction number 3, it says Kevin Tomlinson is the custodian of a $200 petty cash account, $200 petty cash account. On March 31st, he had the receipts for the following total payments: supplies office $45.23, supplies store $66.18, and miscellaneous $49.25. The cash count shows $40.59 in the petty cash box. Prepare the petty cash report. Okay, that's a whole lot of information. Let's break this down. What really happened? For the month of March, the business had to go out and buy stuff. Every time they went out to buy, someone within the office, okay, let's say Dylan had to go and buy some paper. Dylan will go to the petty cash box. He'll take out $50. That $50, he will then go to Office Depot, buy the paper. That paper then, he'll give him $50 and he'll get change back. Does that make sense? So let's say the paper actually cost $42.50. So he goes through and he gets $7.50 back with the receipt. Does that make sense? When he gets back to work, he brings in the paper, he writes on the receipt that it was supplies office, and he puts the receipt and the change back in the petty cash box. That happens every time someone uses the petty cash. They put the receipt and the change back in the box. But let's say that Dylan, when he put the change back in the box, he had 20 extra cents in his pocket, and he grabbed it all, and he put that 20 extra cents back in that cash box. Could that happen? Or a penny? Or he forgot a quarter and it was stuck in the corner of his pocket and he didn't put it in there? Or the people at home at the office supply store gave the incorrect change? Or all those things that could happen? Walking out, he dropped a penny. He's like, oh, it's just a penny. I'm not going to pick it up. How many times have you done that? All the time, right? So what we have to account for is, even though our receipts are going to add up to one amount, we also have to check to see actually what is our cash equal to. We know in this example our petty cash is going to be $200. That's the amount that they have determined that they are going to use within a 1-month time frame. What we have to do is we have to fill out this petty cash report where we're going to go through and add up the receipts, and then we have to go through and figure out how much actual cash we have compared to what we mathematically should have. And we're going to have an account called now cash short and over. Cash short and over is going to be under the account classification of expenses. But I will tell you one thing. It will not always have a debit balance. It could have a credit balance, or it could have a debit balance, so that will really rock your world. And here's the reason why. If it is a cash short, meaning you should have $15.30 in there, but you only have $15.10, you are short 20 cents, then it would have a debit balance of 20 cents. If it was supposed to have $15.50 in there and you actually have $16, then it would be an over of $1. So a short would be a debit and an over would be a credit. No different than an expense versus a revenue. If you think about it, if you're short money, it's kind of like an expense, you just have to deal with it. If you have extra money, it's kind of like additional money that would come in and it would have a revenue or a credit balance. So every month when you go through to look at your petty cash, you have to go through, compare the receipts to the actual amount of cash and see if you have a cash short and over. Now, the Thunder Zone needs to do that when we do our deposit from our point of sale system. Is it possible for you to make a mistake on giving change? Yes. Could you have rung something up incorrectly, meaning that when you rang up a pom-pom, you actually run it up as a thunderbolt and the amount was different, and then we take a look at the cash and then it didn't come out? Yes, all of those things are things that can happen, and the Thunder Zone always needs to go through to take a look at if we're having a cash short and over. And here's another thing that happens with people working with the cash drawer. We can also go through and see, we're short 20 bucks. 20 bucks is a lot. What's happening? Oh, we're always short 20 bucks when Abe works. What do we think Abe is doing? Stealing, right? That is cash control measures that businesses will have to do to figure out what is happening. So that's what we look at also when we go through to our deposits to check to make sure that there is the right amount of cash in our drawer. So below our second page of our cash payments journal, we have our petty cash report. So let's go through and fill that in, understanding what we're taking a look at doing. So on the left-hand side here, let's go ahead and put in our date. The date that we're filling in our petty cash report is going to be March 31st. The custodian is going to be Kevin. They gave us that in the directions. So we have two columns here. We have the explanation and the reconciliation. Starting at the top, we have the reconciliation, and that says what's the fund total. So the total amount that we have in petty cash is $200. Then you can see we have payments, and somebody already filled it in for you, but typically you would have to go through and fill in the headings of what you've purchased. So right here it says, supplies, office. And if we look at our directions, it tells us that supplies, office, we spent $45.23. So I'm going to plug that in. Then it tells us supplies store was $66.18. And miscellaneous had added up to $49.25. So when we take a look at here, it says now total payments. So I need to add up $45.23, $66.18, and $49.25 on my handy dandy little calculator. Sarah, what did you get for that? $160.66. 116. Ah, okay. I got $160.66. $160.66. Do people agree? Okay. Now, what I want you to realize, I did the math. I put 160.66 here. Do you see this little arrow? We're just going to copy this number and put it there. Now, the recorded amount on hand. So Kevin went through the box of petty cash, and he actually counted up the cash we have left over. Cody, how much cash do we have left over? Oh, you know what? Hang on. I said that wrong. Let me back up the train. Beep, beep, beep. Fund total less total payments equals. I need to take 200 minus 160.66 to get this amount. Sorry. So what is our recorded amount on hand? If I take 200 and I subtract 160.66, Cody. I got $39.34. Okay. Sometimes I get math off, but we're having some struggling with math. Okay. So mathematically, I took 200 and I subtracted the total amount of receipts, and I got this here. Basically, I just did what it said here. Fund total less equals. Now, the actual amount on hand. So, can anyone find in the directions the actual amount of cash we have left over? Yeah, I just put that number in there. 49? 49.25? 49.25. 40.59. I'm one number over because I was looking at miscellaneous. Holy cow. $40.59. Thank you. Everyone's looking at me like I had the wrong number, which I did. Okay, so again, just to point out in the directions, it is this number right here that I was reading wrong. Cash account shows $40.59. Okay, so mathematically, how much money should I have had left over in my petty cash box? We already did the math. You just got to figure out what number I'm talking about on here. So mathematically, I should have had $39.34 in my petty cash box. But I actually had $40.59. Do I have more cash or less cash? More. That is called an over. Does that make sense? We're not short, we're over. And I want to point out right here, the word over is indicated how? In parentheses. What do parentheses typically mean? A negative. Okay, so how much are we over? Okay. So if I take 39.34 and subtract 40.59, it gives us that $1.25. I now need to put in parentheses $1.25. Then I also put that over. I just carried over. That's what that little arrow means. Doop. Just like here, I carried the 160.66 over. It just kind of said, hey, put this also there. I'm going to do that 125 here. Now, if it was short, would I put it in parentheses? No. Okay, so here's where we're at. The total amount of all of my receipts equaled 160.66. And in the past, all I would have done is I would have wrote a check for 160.66. But what would happen over time is the actual amount in your petty cash box would not equal exactly 200. So what we want to do is we only want to write a check so we have exactly $200 worth of cash. Because we are over, are we going to write this check for more or less than $160? Less. I'm going to take $160.66, subtract $1.25, and that amount right here is the amount of the check that I am going to write out. So my check is going to be written out for how much, Ari? I agree. Struggle with math on this one. Okay, so we had to go through and fill out this whole petty cash report. You are going to have one of these on your test. Okay? You're going to practice it a couple times, but giving you a heads up. Now, we did all of that work. Now I have to journalize the fact that I need to replenish petty cash. And one of the things students always try to do when we replenish petty cash is try to use the account title petty cash, but we never do that. We always just use what we're affecting. So I'm going to put the date of the 31st. Then I'm going to do supplies office. Check number is going to be 536. And supplies office is 4523. Supplies store, 6618. Miscellaneous, 4925. Cash, short and over, is $1.25 as a debit or credit. It is a credit because we're over, and an over is like revenue. So I'm going to go ahead and put $1.25 right here. Do my debits and credits equal? Oh, good Lord, no. I have 3 debits that equal $160, and I have 1 credit for $1.25. What am I missing? Not 166. What account am I missing that I have to affect? Cash. Okay, so I have to do a cash credit, but not 160.66. I'm doing a cash credit for 159.41. So don't forget to get your cash up there. So here we have a great example of, we know how to do petty cash, but we did petty cash in a pure sense of everything always comes out and there would never be an error. Okay, that doesn't happen. So we have to prepare a petty cash report for us to figure out if we're over or short. Then we journalize our transaction. Next instruction, read, total, prove, and rule our cash payments journal. How many days are in March? 31. So we're going to put the 31st. We're going to do totals. Then you have to go through and add up your columns. I'm doing accounts payable and purchases discount credit first because those are the easiest ones to add up. Once you have your numbers on the bottom of your journal on line 6, You also need to go on the very bottom and prepare your debit and credit proving totals. So make sure that you have the right numbers in the correct spots, so you don't just go debit and credit. You have your general debit, general credit, accounts payable debit, and then purchases credit, discount credit, and total cash credit. Then you need to prove that they equal. Mine are not equaling it. Anyone else get theirs to equal? Yeah. Yay! I'm struggling. 3, 4, 4, 1, 9, 8, 6. 4, 5, 8, 5, 6. I figured out what I did. I typed in my number wrong. 18,64751. Plus 16. Once you get done with the work together, you can go ahead and rock and roll on that on your own. The petty cash is the trickiest part of that. Make sure that you fill out that petty cash report.